This is the Prep Report with Mike Hutchins and Robin Francis, an in-depth look at high school sports in the West Tennessee area. Well, the girls have center stage this week in Murfreesboro, and on Friday it will be semifinal day as the AAA will actually be up first, then single A and double A will finish out the bracket. I like how they move things around and don't always go the same route that traditionally they did 1A, 2A, 3A, Mike Hutchins. And I think that lends a little bit of gets some different teams some more exposure.
Well, I think you look at the attendance, Robin, and normally your single A's will include a lot of rural schools. They'll bring a lot of communities, a lot of small towns, and they were very much a huge factor attendance-wise in doing this. You always had them first. You played them in the morning sometimes, and then you didn't have anybody at your nighttime games when you played AAA because you'll get some teams from Memphis, you'll get some teams from Knoxville, you'll get some teams from the bigger cities, and they just don't travel that well. You know, not in the high school circuit. You know, there's so many other things that are going on. The battle for the entertainment dollar, and I think this was a wise decision. I think they started this about 3 or 4 years ago, and next year we'll revert back to the 1A, 2A, and 3A, and then 2A will have its turn at the start of the run.
This week we've seen a lot of people were talking about the 1A bracket, and it was top-loaded with Greenfield, Pickett County, Moore County, and Huntington all in the same bracket portion. And how some feel that there should be a realignment in some way to make sure that the best championship game. To me, it's a championship. If somebody says, championship game first round. No, I tell you what, it's win and move on. You either can win or you can't. It doesn't matter where you lose or where you win as long as you win and finish out.
And how many times, Robin, have we seen those supposed this is the state championship game in the first round and the winner go on and lose in the semifinals or in the finals? And I think, again, the tournament series is set up like it's supposed to be. And, people talk about eliminating the human element. I think the human element's part of it. And that blind draw, when your ball comes up, hey, we got a great draw or we didn't get a good draw or, who knows when you get up there. Everything's so mythical because none of these teams – by and large, have played against each other. You're having teams on one end of the state playing teams on the other end of the state. And again, somebody may come up with a 31-2 record, and that 31-2 may not be nearly as good as that 20-10 because the level of competition has been played.
And Greenfield and Pickett County, Greenfield down big in the third quarter, can make a big comeback, come away with a win. I thought late in the season, we saw Greenfield maybe a little bit tired, maybe a little bit of fatigue in some ways, or maybe it was just boredom from playing the same people over and over again. But boy, did they turn it on late in some of the tournament games, and then obviously on Wednesday when they played Pickett County, came back in with a 4-point win.
Or maybe, Robin, it was the pressure of the expectations.
That's
think
true.
People already had penciled Greenfield into the finals because of who they might or might not have to play. Huntington on the other side now was not a team they were going to face in the regional finals. It was not somebody that's really strong they were going to play in the sectionals. In fact, their sectional opponent from Memphis showed up 45 minutes late for that sectional game on Saturday night. They did not make the proper turn off I-40, went to the Tennessee River and said, hey, maybe we've gone too far. So those Greenfield fans that had been in the gym, Robin, since 5:30, I think they greeted the Memphis bunch with a resounding greeting, if you can imagine that, at 7:45 when they showed up there. And that was a mismatch from start to finish. It was a 30-point game in the first quarter, and certainly Greenfield was supposed to win, and they did. And I thought they got a pretty tough draw going in with the Pickett County. So all three Miss Basketball candidates and finalists on the floor at the same time there. And I thought Chloe Moore really took over in the fourth quarter for Greenfield. She had 12 of her game, 18. It was a big three-pointer by Michaela Little, Robbins, 44 all, about a minute and a half left. She drained a three that put Greenfield up. They trailed by 13, as you mentioned, in the third quarter, 33-20. But again, got on a roll, got a great deal of momentum, and made some big shots when it counted most.
One thing I like about Greenfield, no matter what the sport that Willie Trevathan is involved in, he's a good coach. He's fundamentally sound and expects his players to be fundamentally sound. He won in baseball. He's been winning in girls basketball for years. Just a talented guy that knows how to get the best out of his kids.
And it's kind of unusual. He's a Gleason boy, Robin, and played basketball, played baseball, but his best sport is golf. Still a great golfer, plays very well right now, and it's a little bit unusual sometimes when you have someone who's excelled in an individual sport. It's so instrumental in success in a team sport. But I think he's taken a lot of young people over there who maybe not were the most talented, physically or athletically, and he's got them to buy into the team concept. He's obviously got the two sophomores with Moore and Tess Darby that are outstanding and going to be good for a couple more years at Greenfield. But he's putting together the right pieces, I think, to go along with those young ladies to make them successful from a team point.
Also, you have a couple of other Weakley County teams that played. Dresden lost their first round game. Just really outmatched when Summertown came up big after being down by one after one quarter. Really just took it to them after that.
Yeah, I scored 19-6 in the second quarter. Did not make a field goal, Robin. And when you struggle, I think they shot 21% over the final three quarters after shooting 44% for the first period there, the first 8 minutes, and just couldn't get a bucket made. Summertown, only 2 losses. One of those, Robin, to Huntington in the regional finals. And that's a good basketball team. It's a very good basketball team. I think they're probably the class of the bottom half of the bracket there. But hats off to Jonathan West and the Lady Lions meeting with Summertown in the first round for the second consecutive year. Coming home with a loss, but certainly a great season otherwise.
And you have Westview, who's been up there 6 straight years with Coach Brian Haskins. They draw another tough team in the first round in Alcoa, a team that's real hot. Those are the dangerous type of teams that get hot late in the season and just run through these tournaments. And it proved to be the matter of fact because Westview had to struggle to win.
We've talked so many times, Robin, about not only playing well, but playing well at the right time. And the season is so long. You don't want to be playing your best basketball at Christmas tournament time. You want to be playing your best basketball the second week of February because it becomes survive and advance once you get to a point of the forgiving postseason here in Tennessee. And I thought Alcoa was doing that. A lot of AAU tendencies, they kind of just shot it when they got it, from a far range. Whoever got the ball had the green light to go. And certainly Westview, battle-tested. We've talked so many times, Robin, about being able to win a game in the 30s and the 40s, being able to defend right now. And I think defending right now is the big thing with Westview. Tasia Jones, one of their the dynamic 1-2 punch of she and Deja Graves goes down. I think it's a kneecap injury. I don't know if she's going to be able to play in tomorrow's semifinals. She goes down in the second quarter, and again, a big loss. Just simply because from a ball handling perspective, Robin, she was it for Westview. She's battle tested. She's been there so many times before, but I thought Zanasia Galden comes in and really did a great job there. She's probably the most athletic player on the floor. She's young, maybe a little less proven than Tasia Jones, and she really, I thought, came up big, and along with Graves, who he just had a super game inside, finishes with 19 points and the 6 rebounds, and really was a factor inside for Westview in that win. That this makes them 3-3 the last 6 years in the first round of the tournament, Robin. So they've been there, they've had success. Now it's getting over the hump in the semifinals. And
you have Haywood, who's playing, another West Tennessee representative. Their coach moves on. Whitney Baird, who people know from Gibson County, had great success with the Haywood program. She moves on, but they continue success, and that's the earmark of a good program. And they're somebody who can make some noise right now.
Oh, athletically, Robin, they've always been good. And when you can put the ball on the floor and get your own shot off, when you don't have to settle for a 3, or when you're not just a mid-range type player, but you can score inside and outside, makes you extremely dangerous, especially this time of year, because we've seen so many times about – how's the game going to be called? Is it going to be they're going to allow you to get after each other? They're going to allow you to bump and grind inside? Or every time you touch someone, to blow on them hard? Is it going to be a foul? And I think you have to adjust there. And I think Haywood has some players that their strength is that they can play in any type of atmosphere. They can play in any type of speed of game, whether it's up and down the floor or whether it's a half-court game.
And next week, in boys, it's just the Memphis Invitational, right?
Well, it's the Penny Hardaway Invitational before he goes to the University of Memphis, maybe.
That's what everybody's saying as well. I mean, when you look at what in single A, especially, you had Humboldt, a very good team, and Middleton, a very good team, go on and have to play MASE and Douglas and just get annihilated. I mean, that just tells you the level of talent at those schools are just incredible.
It really surprised me, the Middleton game, Robin, because they were playing at home, and we know what an advantage it is for them to play down there. It was about 115 degrees, I promise you, in that gym. There was not a seat to be had, and Memphis just comes in there and does a tremendous job, MASE, and beat them very handily, much like Peabody had beaten Middleton on Middleton's home court during the regular season. Really wasn't surprised with Douglas. I think we saw a lot of those athletes during the football season when Douglas came up here and played Union City in a second-round playoff game. And a lot of those guys, played multiple sports. They played basketball, and we saw their athleticism. I thought the interesting part of that was when the lights and the power went out there, and they had to go 20 minutes down the road to Airways Middle School and finish that game the last 8 minutes. Now, you're down 20 or 22 already. How about getting on that yellow fellow, Robin, and riding down the 4-lane there in cold, and then going into an empty gym and playing out the string there and getting beat by 38.
Yeah, that was the most I think the most interesting story of the whole thing, of the whole sectional night, was that type of situation. As much trouble as Humboldt and Middleton had just getting their final game in because of the rains and the flooding and different things they had going on. And then all of a sudden Humboldt had to go through that. Obviously makes for a great story for some. But in AA, you have great teams that are coming out of AA going to the state tournament, and AAA we mentioned Penny Hardaway and Memphis East as well. But man, it's just it seems like all the talent in Tennessee is down in that one corner, and right now and for several years now, unless there's a fluke, most of the time they go right back with the gold ball.
And then you get back into the conversation about attendance, Robin. A lot of those do not travel well. It does not appear to be as big a moneymaker for the TSSAA when you're talking about who's going to show up, how many people you're going to have in the stands. And, it brings up another issue, and I know I've been asked about this before. When it comes time to rank the teams in the top 10 in the state every year, whether you're in football or whether you're in basketball, and now they have a baseball poll, do you rank the teams based on who you think are going to get to the state tournament? If that's true, you'll only vote for 2 Memphis teams because that's all that can come out of there in each respective classifications. Or do you vote for the 10 best teams in that classification? And in that instance, you got about 5 or 6 from Shelby County. It's going to be in every classification there because they are so talented and so athletically gifted.
If Penny Hardaway does happen to bump Tubby and get him out in Memphis, I think the game's a little bit different. I'm not sure Penny's ready for that.
Well, I'm not either. But again, telling those folks down there, and I think when you look at Memphis and the fact that it's the lowest attendance they've had, Robert, in 49 seasons.
Wow.
There, you and I can remember going back down to the Coliseum and when the old Metro Conference in Louisville was there, and boy, it just was such an event. Every home game there, and naturally they were successful with Keith Lee and Baskerville Holmes and Andre Turner, and you go up and down the line there. So many great players, and the players with Louisville, the Wagners and the Griffins, and I think you look up and down there, and that's such a different era now. It almost seemed like it never happened because it was so long ago. I know teams leave for other conferences, and the money lures schools to you play here and we'll make you part of this. And I think it's obviously the landscape is different there, but I know it's long been a basketball haven, has Memphis and the city of Memphis. And right now with the Grizzlies so poor, didn't win a game the month of February, and now the University of Memphis struggling, something's bound to change.
And high schools obviously what everybody's looking at, and that's where Penny's getting a lot of looks. One thing that is going to affect some of the high school players that we see, if the NBA comes out with that farm system and allows for players to come up and they're paid, they're playing in a farm system, or maybe they make a team as well. But does that get us back to a traditional look at college instead of the one and dones and that kind of thing?
Robin, everybody is mistreated. Everybody is looking at litigation. It doesn't make any difference what position or what system you put in place. It's not going to please everybody. I'm not sure what's right, what's wrong anymore. I know, again, the landscape has changed so much. And, if you're talking about the D League, the developmental league, or a minor league, and are you going to pay, and how much are you going to pay, and are they going to retain their eligibility if they declare for the next level and don't make it there? Do you open the door and let them come back? And again, I think there's so many variables in that equation. I'm not sure that there is one particular answer that's right.
But as college basketball and college sports in general, with the amount of money in it, gotten out of hand?
It's corrupt. Yep. I think you look at the almighty dollar, Robin. I think it's the trickle-down effect, and we're just hopeful that it doesn't come to the high school level very soon.
Yeah, that's the truth. That's what I was looking at, because this is mainly a high school show, but it will affect some of these kids. Maybe not around here, but it will affect some in the state that are looking at that type of situation. Can I go pro? Will I go overseas and play? We've seen that happen. That way they don't have to go to a college. They go play constantly, and then the NBA is able to draft them.
Well, and you talk about the AAU game, Robin. I think that's been terrible. I think the AAU games in the summers, I think where nobody defends anybody. I think you're in a situation to where it's nothing more than a pickup game, and you get these coaches that see these other kids, and all of a sudden you see these transfers to other high school programs simply because of some things they've done in the AAU summertime period. And I think we're seeing more and more of that, and you're seeing more and more litigation. You got Memphis East there, and don't forget, Robin, they may win the state championship, but we may come back in 12 to 14 months, and they have a stay right now. They have an injunction that is allowing them to continue to play some of their players because of the fact that all of a sudden they had a couple to play at other places last year that came over to play for East this year. And will we vacate that in 12 to 14 months? Is that something that's going to be caught up in the court system for a while, and then all of a sudden we don't have a champion for the 2017-18 boys AAA? Or is there somebody that's going to play right now or going to be instrumental in these games that all of a sudden down the road we're going to find out they were ineligible? Then what does that do to the records, the win-losses, and I think just a lot of things there that are not good right now for the game.
Well, that's our rant for the program. We appreciate everyone listening. We like the likes, and we appreciate the shares. We hope you enjoy it. Comment what we got. We love to hear from you. You've been listening to The Prep Report with Robin Francis and Mike Hutchins. Listen each week as Robin and Mike bring you exclusive information on what's going on in West Tennessee high school sports. For sponsorship information, call 731-446-7496.